This technique is going to show you how I achieved this metallic faux finish on the gourd. And we're going to be using Stuart Superior products, the Memories ink dyes, the metallic inks, as well as Bavarian Bronze Cloisonne Embossing Powder. And this is a really easy but fun idea that I used in combination of all the products that I just told you about. Taking a piece of gourd that I already wood burned a design, and notice that the tape, if you follow my transfer ideas with using the masking tape, I applied this design directly to the gourd, wood burned it, and also wood burned a little bit of a border around. And what we're going to do is go ahead and show you the first step of how I got to the metal faux finish look. That is going to be involving the Memories ink dye black, and we're going to use buff bronze metallic ink, as well as Bavarian Bronze Cloisonne Embossing Powder. And we're going to get started right now. And we also will be using a heat tool through this technique. Cosmetic sponge, and we're on our way. Taking the buff bronze metallic ink, and I usually give it a little stir before I start using the ink. I'm going to be using the buff bronze metallic ink, and I would suggest probably taking out about 2 good helpings right there out of the ink container. And here's something different that I'm going to be doing, is adding the black Memories ink dye, 1, 2, and 3 drops just like that into the ink, the metallic ink. Now with a cosmetic sponge, just touching the area with both of the inks on the sponge. This ink is going to stay very wet for quite a while. It is most important that it is to be dried. And again, using just enough to wet the gourd. We don't want puddles of ink sitting on the gourd. Now, every once in a while, if you don't think you've got enough of the black, re-dip it into the black section and just go right over what you just did. What's nice is that when later I will show you removing the tape, so we will continue with some other ideas in another episode after this. But the tape is going to help protect all of that area so we can do something different within the pattern and on the outside edges. This also can be done in sections, so I'm going to need a little spot right here for my hand to continue holding this gourd during the process of heating the embossing powder. And then it will be nothing just to go back over this little area right here that needs it. So let's set this aside for a moment. Bringing it all in here, you can see that all of the ink, except for the area that I'm working with, holding my hand, in other words, is inked and ready to add embossing powder. But here's the trick. I'm not going to pour embossing powder over this wet ink, but I'm going to just sprinkle ever so lightly with my fingers, just enough to every so often catch the drops of the embossing powder so it doesn't totally consume color that we just added. And it's very, very wet, so it actually stayed quite nicely in place. Then with the heat tool, it is necessary to heat it enough until the embossing powder melts and becomes raised. At the same time, this is drying the metallic ink and the memories ink as it needs to be dried in order to move on to varnish, or then to remove the tape safely for in front of the design, so we then can further embellish detail color within the pattern. I'm just going to turn and make sure that every bit of it has been hit with the heat tool. And just make sure it's done. Okay, now it's nothing to continue in the same area where I left off and to get quite the same results of color, and even if you needed to just kind of go over a lap just a little bit as to where you did leave off, and you could see that maybe I should add just a little bit more black to this area to balance what's in the rest of the area here. I'm going to go back to the embossing powder, and notice I'm just taking it and letting it just sprinkle from my fingers. This creates a really, really nice texture. If you wish to go further and put some protective wax over, as well as metallic wax, which we're going to talk about that in another session, that if you follow the links, you will see what it's going to take to get there. And this one is complete. Now you have quite an attractive metallic finish that resembles like a little bit of a corrosion of what metal does to the elements in the air. It's really fun, but what's going to make sense is after the next step of further embellishing such pretty color. So stay tuned for the next little clip that's going to continue. That will be using metallic leafing and accent powders. So thank you for watching.